These are artifacts that we found in what we believe was winter site of winter encampment of the Hagius clan in the recent Stone Age. The site has yielded 3 small vials of this kind and a number of rocks which we believe they used for killing small animals. The site is in Park County of Wyoming in an area called Oregon Basin, and we found what we think was used as a rubbish heap by the Hagius people in very early times, and they were a migratory people, as you know, and they had a temporary site, this place. We have discovered the floor plan of what we think was their clan housing, and we are studying their food sharing habits and food gathering. They seem to have done food gathering in the Oregon Basin, and as near as we can make out, they survived on nose drops, aspirins. Yes. These are primitive Hagius artifacts. We think that this contained eardrops. This appears to have been, yes, this is an eardrop container. If you notice, it has little leader marks along the side, or perhaps those are inch marks, or perhaps those are just any old kind of marks. We are not sure. They may have had ceremonial significance. I think that this may have held buffered aspirin, a very primitive form of buffered aspirin, in the 1950s. Even as early as the 1940s is a possibility. We'll have to do radiocarbon dating to ensure it. Now, this is in the first layer in the midden heap, the Hagius midden heap that we've found. Yes, it's a perfect specimen. You rarely find bottles from this period intact. This migratory people seems to have come from the southern part of the North American continent. They were following the herds, we think, when cold weather closed upon them, and they found themselves having to seek shelter in the basin area. They used rocks to kill small animals and to pound grains. We have here a good example of what we think was a Hagius artifact. As near as we can make out, the early Hagiuses took a stone like this and then found another one like this, rather long, that could be useful for grasping, and then they struck them together like this.
Looks like petrified ribs.
Yes, what the purpose of their striking together was, we have not yet determined. It seems to have some ceremonial significance. Television audience now with an earnest plea for contributions for funding of a complete archaeological excavation of this Oregon Basin site. There are many levels. We think that we can excavate an entire basement if we have enough money. We need a considerable size crew. It all has to be sifted, of course, and we'll need camel's hair brushes to clean off the artifacts. There is a great deal of work to be done, but this is an exciting find. We have never found a Hagius midden heap before this time. This is the first evidence that this elusive people actually existed, and there have been many legends, of course, about them. And now we're able to confirm these. We're finding that the stories about Hagius Hill, about Two Black Mountain, all those legends have a basis in reality. And please give your dollars for continued exploration. And by one of our laboratory researchers, this is definitely established to be Bayer's aspirin bottle used for Hagius headaches in early times. This is thought to have been baby's milk bottle, a doll milk bottle. It would have had a little rubber tip
maybe one of Mary Jo's.
It might have been one of Mary Jo's, although I don't think Mary Jo was playing dolls very much in Oregon Basin. I could be mistaken.
Could have been one of the Chevalier girls.
One of the Chevalier girls is a possibility. This will require considerable more research. And there is, there is in my pocket a very interesting Hagius find. This was found at the Hagius site in Oregon Basin. It hasn't yet been dated, and we're trying to discover what it was used for. We think that it may have been some part of a mechanical site, and we're now trying to determine its use or its ceremonial significance. So we have asked Walker Hagius to do a little comparative research. He has other artifacts of that kind. He is going to look at this and compare it with others of its sort and see if he can give any light on it. Walker, can you tell us what that might possibly be? The object in your left hand.
It seems to most definitely be marble. It seems to be rather dirty, right there. It seems to be considerably dirty around one circlish spot. And it also, on this side and the far side from you, it seems to be worn flat. It was either worn flat or melted or something. But
And what are those artifacts used for?
they are used for games.
Ah, yes,
Such as
primitive games, right?
yes. As they called it. Oh yes. Well, there's a
How would
game.
an early Hagius, for instance, have employed?
Okay. Now here is some more of this kind. Now, this is how they could have been. And you take.
Have we lost the Hagius artifact? Is it? Oh, I see. That's very good.
And then you go. And well.
What was the purpose of that?
And you try to knock them out. And then there would be another player who would do the same. And the one who knocked out the most marbles at the end of the game would win.
Oh, that is very cool. Hagius Midden, which seems to prove that they had trade relationships with other parts of North America. Native stone, these seem to have been manufactured somewhere in the continent, and they look very much like beads made at a later date. We think that these are forerunners of today's glass beads.
Once again, we want to remind you.
Once again, we want to remind you that every dollar that you give supports a shovel full of dirt.
So keep the muck rolling.
Yes,
send your dollars
keep
for
that
digging.
shale. Send your dollars for digging to Hagius.
Dig. Everybody start yelling. Dig.
253 North 15th Avenue, Pocatello, Idaho.